The Self-Publishing Show is sponsored by Pro Writing Aid. Pro Writing Aid has been my go-to tool for revising and refining my writing since my first book. Built by writers for writers, it's more than just a grammar and spell checker. Pro Writing Aid helps you enhance your story's pacing, plot, characters, settings, and more. It can even provide on-demand developmental feedback on your entire manuscript with its new manuscript analysis and virtual beta reader tools. Get ahead of the competition by heading to prowritingaid.com and sign up for free using the code IWC15 for a 15% discount off annual subscriptions.
Publishing is changing. No more gatekeepers. No more barriers. No one standing between you and your readers. This is the Self-Publishing Show. There's never been a better time to be a writer.
Hello and welcome to the Self-Publishing Show. I'm James Blatch.
And I'm Cecilia Mecca.
Oh, you're going Cecilia now. I'm all over the place.
Oh, I forgot. I'm Sissy.
Yeah, you're Sissy. You can be whoever you want. Listen, thank you very much indeed to everybody for lots of warm messages welcoming us back. A lot of people had missed the podcast. So I'm very happy to be back. I had some notes even from some grandees here and there around the place that missed us. And you got some nice notes as well. I thought they call them notes in Hollywood, don't they? I've got some notes for you. Actors always then throw a tantrum when they get notes, but your notes were all good.
They were all good. And can I mention one specifically? I hope she doesn't mind me calling her out. So I got a note. I sent it to you. I said, this is my favorite. Melanie Harlow, who is an absolutely amazing author. I think you know. She's a romance author, contemporary. She said I had a sexy voice. She's like, I don't know how I didn't notice in person.
You do have a sexy voice.
Oh, now she shouldn't have told me that because now I'm noticing it. So I'm going to try to be sexier.
It sounds like you're a nightclub singer. You've drunk quite a lot of whiskey and smoked quite a lot of cigarettes. But you haven't done any of those things. Well, I don't know, actually. You may have been a
nightclubs, but no whiskey, no cigarettes. Yeah. So that was it. But no, there were very nice compliments. Everybody in the platform was just so amazingly welcoming. A few people said, oh, of course it's you. And I was like, well, that's really sweet that I'm tied to James in some ways.
Not literally, not at this stage.
Although you do that BDSM quiz in the
yes, we're very compatible, aren't we? Yeah.
Speaking of that, yeah. So
quite compatible. At some point, we'll have to tie you up. Anyway, on that subject, I did like the fact that when we're in London, you do like dancing, you like clubs, and you looked up Great Windmill Street, where there's this very long-standing, famous strip club. Right, it used to be called the Raymond Review Bar. I think it is probably still called the Raymond Review Bar. It's the Windmill Theatre, and it said tables, dancing, booths, and you said that sounds amazing. And it's like,
I said, James, we're going there. He's like, no, you're not.
You said, we're going in there. And I said, we're not going in there. It's like this sordid strip club that's been going for donkey's years, and goodness knows what's going on in there now. I would love to have seen it in the 60s. But
table dancing things, one of those, what are they called? Coyote Ugly,
Wasn't that sort of table dancing.
No.
Yeah, it's actually an amazing place. And if you're into your cultural history, social cultural history, it's that whole area, but that theatre in particular features quite a lot because they basically, in the 60s when there was this liberation period and sexuality was a bit more open and explained, and they wanted to have sex clubs and magazines and books. And famously, we had the Penguin taken to court over Lady Chatterley's lover. And that club was frequently raided by the police. And they worked out that there was a way that if it was still like, because they basically argued, if you go to the National Theatre, the National Portrait Gallery or the National Gallery, you saw all these nudes from history, from antiquity and the 19th century, and that somehow was okay. And sometimes they're quite explicit, those oil paintings.
Yeah.
So they worked out that if their models stood still, they couldn't be prosecuted. So they closed the curtains. The models would get into like a diorama pose, like at the Civil War time, but they'd be naked or whatever. Then the curtains would open, everyone would applaud, and the old men would, rub their thighs, whatever they do in there. But they weren't allowed to move. This is how ridiculous it got. And then the Lord Chamberlain, whoever it was, looked after the Obscene Publications Act, couldn't prosecute them if they didn't move, but they still got raided. Anyway, that's that place you were pointing at. I'm amazed
Things
it's still
you
there.
know. I mean, that's just knowledge for you, just something in your brain kind of hanging out
Well,
there.
remember, I used to work for the British Board of Film Classification for a while, and that's steeped in the history of all that stuff. They were looking after the video and film side of things and banning this sick filth.
For those who are wondering what that means, translate to James Blatch used to watch porn for a living. Is that basically, do I have that right?
About half our work was adult work. We called it
Okay.
adult work. But
Adult
the other
work.
half was amazing films. So you'd see all sorts of things. Some really terrible films, but some good films. Listen, we've got a guest coming on in a few minutes. He's
Yay.
very patiently sitting in the lobby at the moment. So we have to race through these couple of items we've got
Okay,
first.
I'm ready.
Actually, I do. If you're watching on YouTube, I want you to see. Look, I don't know if I can show that. Look at my helmet I've got there. That is a. I've just put this on my shelf.
Wow.
People listening have no idea what they're looking at, but that is a Mark IV RAF helmet oxygen mask from my father's era, and I got one of those plastic heads. Actually, the that Craig Martell gave me one of these, but I couldn't fit it in my case on the way back from Vegas a few years ago. So I bought one. Doesn't that look cool on my shelf? I am a proper geek now. Look at that. My mum's red box is at the bottom. My Vulcan Bomber and Valiant models and Vampire.
That is very cool. James, we were teasing about you yesterday. Tina Gallagher and I, booked a trip, booked our flights to London to come see you in the show in June. And we were kind of going back and forth on what plane to take. And she said, if we were James, we'd be looking at the type of plane and
Yeah.
deciding from there. Yeah.
And the seating is number one for it. But when people say to me, if I say, "Oh, what seat have you got?" They say, "Well, I don't know." I just think that's a bit like somebody saying, "Oh, I don't eat. I
That's
don't
the last
consume
thing that
food
we
or
did.
water." I think, how do you survive without knowing months in advance what your seat is and where it is, whether it's a good seat or bad seat? I mean, the idea to stroll up to the airport and gamble, that's like playing Russian roulette with a gun.
No,
Anyway,
I wouldn't do that. But
I
but
do
I mean,
want
I'm not in those fancy seats. I mean, that's the whole point of this podcast, right? Is for all of us to learn how to end up in those fancy, Delta One seats, right?
Well, listen, we are going to do a travel hacking podcast, I think, where you can lead that discussion because you've become a good travel hacker, and I know a little bit about it. I just want you to know that when we do the BDSM stuff, I'm going to be wearing that.
Oh God. God love Jill Blatch. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
I don't know how she does
I
it.
don't think she listens to the podcast.
Oh boy.
Listen, we have a couple of things to talk about. So, first of all, I just want to mention this. It's a bit of a techie subject, and it's starting to creep up. I'm starting to get some messages about this area from various people. So, BookLinker sent out an email this week. Now, BookLinker is one of the universal book link generators. I use it myself for my own books. We also use Genius Link. I use it as well. We also use Genius Link for Vinci books. BookLinker said that they wanted to share an important update. They're saying Amazon has implemented a significant policy change. Product level ASIN data will no longer be provided for products Amazon classifies as unsafe. From initial checks, the impacted books tend to contain mature themes, including sexual and violent content. So there's a bit more information about it than that. But basically, it's saying the API is blocking the output of that information. So your universal book links wouldn't be able to be set up and established and won't work. And there's other knock-on effects from that. At the same time, people have been talking about their books being taken down off Amazon in more cases than that used to be the case. So there's speculation about this, as there always with the speculation. Anybody who says, "Oh, this is what Amazon are doing, this is their A12 algorithm stuff," they are speculating, right? Because Amazon do not publish this stuff. It remains secret. But speculation that it probably in an attempt to combat the onset of AI stuff being uploaded, they've got stricter and tighter with their filters and their ability to use AI to look at content, and they are discovering more content that, if they want to shave the network a bit from, or the database from how many books are on there, they're going to start pulling some of that stuff that they don't feel is suitable. I don't think we've seen evidence that this is affecting the mainstream, which is, spicy romance authors included, certainly people who write mainstream stuff like I do. It does seem to be content that would be in violation of the terms and just wasn't caught before and is being caught now. But we don't know for certain, and we're keeping a watching brief on it. But honestly, if you've got some experience in that and you're in the Learn Self-Publishing Facebook group, it's worth posting so we can collect and share data on this.
Check your links. That's kind of what I took away from it. Checked them. Everything seems to be working fine. But of course, as soon as I hear the word explicit, I think, uh-oh, here we go with the romance author community, potentially being affected. So,
yeah. So there's that. And then you've got some news in the romance world.
yeah, which I mean, honestly, there's never news in the historical romance world, but kind of some big news this week with Harlequin historicals shuttering after 40 years. So, I think that speaks to the market right now in particularly historical romance, but also, it was a huge shock to the community, those of us, the 10 of us that are in historical romance. But honestly, it affected people I know, and I'm not sure if it's potentially an opportunity for indie authors. I have no idea. I'd love to talk to someone who knows a little bit more about the rankings. Obviously we watch them, I watch them, but kind of the inside and out of the Amazon categories, we should have, what's his name? Oh my goodness, James. Read my mind.
Alex Newton.
Thank you, Alex. We should have him on one of the. I mean, I'm sure you've had him on multiple times, but
we should definitely have Alex back. He's great value. There's somebody who knows the trends and what's working with genres.
And knows the trends. And I know we talked specifically about historical and medieval, and it's been on a downtrend. So I guess it's not completely shocking for those in the historical romance community, but it is. I mean, they've been around for 40 years. So,
but isn't Bridgerton historical romance?
Bridgerton is. Regency has been insulated for the most part from kind of the downturn in historical romance. So there's historical romance, everybody, and then there's Regency, and there is a bit of a difference. However, even Regency, talking to some Regency authors in the last year or two, even with Bridgerton, is on a downturn as well. So, yeah, it's a bit surprising, but also not if you've been selling medieval and Scottish historical romance. It's been on a downslide since
you've seen it
in the last 5 years.
Well,
yeah.
Listen, one thing I'll add, as I'm knee deep in my translations course at the moment, is don't write off the other markets, because I've been researching Germany in particular this week for some other, for part of the course actually, and collecting kind of titles that are working at the top of the charts and blurbs that are working at the top of the charts as examples for the AI when they're doing your titles and your blurbs. And I did notice quite a lot of World War II romance doing quite well in Germany, and it's UK based generally, or American based World War II romance, which is quite an interesting thing if you think about Germany in its historical perspective. But yeah, so maybe a few years ago it was bigger here and has faded, but that doesn't mean it's not going to do well in other markets. So
yeah, Germany is carrying my historical right now, just to be honest.
Wow.
I was looking at it yesterday. I think it's over 70% of my revenue at the moment in medieval, and I haven't published medieval in almost a year, so that's not helping my front list. But yeah, the translations are carrying me. I'm getting into French now. I've been in Germany for a long time. So, but I put my main series, my border series, which is my original series, into French this week. So I'm curious to see how that will do and compared to Germany. But without the German market, my historicals, yeah, it's not pretty.
yeah.
But I'm a historical medieval girl at heart, so I just, I can't imagine not doing it. I actually have a plan. You gave me an idea last week. You mentioned Versions of You, which is the novella, and I already did promise my Cecilia readers at least one book this year. And I also promised them, because I thought it would be fun, to go back to the original border series. So that's like early 1300s, medieval, the border of medieval in England and Scotland. The Versions of You, if you remember that novella, it kind of deals with, the ancient text and the book kind of coming to life in contemporary times. I thought, what if I can combine those two and go back to the origins of the book? So that night that we met, maybe re-meet him, and maybe he finds his love story back in medieval England. So I might tie the two together and try to see what happens in historical this year, at least one book, just to kind of serve those readers. So.
Excellent. Listen, I'm about to let our guest in, who is Robin Bennett Freebairn. We had him on before Christmas. He's somebody who's sort of discovered Etsy recently, and I'll introduce him properly in a moment because it's a very interesting topic for us authors. Just a couple of notes before then. So we think, going to have a small number of additional tickets for SPS Live. We've done our maths. We've looked at the space. It won't be as many as 30. It'll be less than 30, but it'll be somewhere between 20 and 30 once we've finalised it. And I think probably just because I'm travelling next week, we're not going to release those because we need to be very careful about selling them. But I want to give fair notice to anybody because it's sold out at the moment. So these will be the last tickets that go on sale. Let me look at my calendar and give you a date. So I think we're probably going to do that on Tuesday, the 10th of March. So Tuesday, the 10th of March, we'll open up those last few tickets for SPS Live, the annual conference in London in June, where you can meet me and Sissy in person.
Yay.
You can sign autographs, Sissy.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're at that level quite yet, but maybe someday.
And I had something else to announce, but I can't remember what it was, so we'll park that now. Listen, I'm going to let Robin in. So Robin Bennett Freebairn, we spoke to him before Christmas on the old Indie Writers Club podcast. Robin does non-fiction. He does basically books that are bought as gifts. So they are What a Year to Be Born books, so 80-year-old. And he works through the years when he notices the 80 people are going to turn 80 next year. So he does that year 80 years ago and so on. He was working through. He's getting up to 67 for my birthday next year at the moment. But he works really hard at them. The books are absolutely superb. And he's very good at marketing, very good at Amazon ads. But he moved into Etsy because Etsy is a place where people go to find gifts for people. And they are flying off the shelf. This is interesting for us because we're in an era now, particularly in romance, in your genre, Sissy, where people package up their romance books and sell them for $100 because they're pretty and they're gifts for their romance reading, best friend or whatever. And Etsy is a good place for that. So we want to talk more to him about that. And really what I want to see, what I ask him now on the 18th of February is, was that a blip going into Christmas? Or has it sustained itself? Is it going to sustain itself through the years? So let's bring Robin in. Here he is. And I don't know what people are going to see at home. This looks like Dallas to me. Do you remember Dallas? Lorimer Productions? And they did that.
Oh, with all the blocks.
Yes, these blocks. Yeah. It was a great, iconic opening title sequence, if you're as old as I am. Sissy's so young, she has no clue what we're talking about.
I didn't know if you meant, you mean the the nighttime soap opera show?
J.R. Ewing.
Yeah, who killed JR? I know Dallas.
Yeah, who shot JR? I didn't die.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And I can't remember
It's
who
been
it
a
was.
while.
Julie or Lucy or something. It wasn't Lucy.
I don't
Who
remember.
killed JR? Who shot JR?
No.
That'd probably be, if you had an original Who Shot JR t-shirt, I'm going to say that's going to be worth some money now.
Yeah. There'll be big collectors out there for that sort of merch.
Talking of gifting,
Yes.
which sort of strangely were. So, Robin, we had you on before Christmas. I think it's a good idea if you just set the scene again, because we're now on a different podcast as well, a different audience, just to tell us a bit about your books and your business. And then we're going to talk specifically about, I think, books as gifts and marketing them as gifts, and particularly with Etsy. So do you want to just tell us what your books are and how you market them at the moment?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, I'm sort of, my focus is right in the heart of the gifting market. So my books are classified as birth year gift books. So each book that I write is based around a particular year in the past, and it relates to the year that someone was born. So the gift series is called What a Year to Be Born. And I'm just about to publish my 19th book in the series. That book's about 1976 and everything that happened there. So for 50-year-olds. And so the books themselves are broken down into theme chapters, and they go through everything that happened in that year. So obviously we don't remember anything because we were just born, but it gives you a flavour of all the world news. It gives you a flavour of what happened in entertainment, films, books released, scientific discoveries, stories of disasters and heroes, all sorts of things. It sort of really tries to encapsulate the whole year for you. Because we've all got that affinity, even though we don't remember anything about the year we were born, it's special to us.
Well, I think also as you become, it's definitely 100% in my case. When I was a kid, I couldn't care less about my family's history or anything in the past. You're just a kid, aren't you? And you want to be a grown up and get out of it. And the older you get, the more fascinated and
Yes.
almost affectionate you become about where you came from, what your parents were like when they were young and they were having you, and being
Yeah.
brought up, what that world was like. I mean, I write books basically to satiate my need to know more about that era now. So it's a really strong draw, I think, for people.
Yeah, and I think that's been reflected in how I see the how the sales work in my business, is that the books that go the furthest back, so typically the books that are around the 1940s at the moment, so for 80-year-olds, they are our bestsellers. So the further away you are from your birth, the more interested you are in that time and what was going on, and
Well, I suppose
reconnecting.
the other thing there is there's people finding something to buy an 80-year-old.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. By then you've had everything bought for you over the
Yeah.
years. And
You need
so,
less, not more, when you're 80.
yes. Yes.
Okay, so you do these books, and now I'm going to say that they are amazingly written books, because there's almost certainly now with AI a lot of slop out there, to use that word, that's being generated. But your books are handcrafted and lovingly so.
Yeah.
And they're great things to have. So it doesn't surprise me that, combined with your marketing prowess, that you've done well. But things really started to take off on the Etsy front before Christmas, and I'm fascinated to know whether that was a Christmas gift buying blip or whether that has sustained itself.
Yeah, it was a bit of an experiment, really. I mean, I guess it's kind of obvious for the type of books I write that Etsy would be a platform to try. But certainly in the sort of broader indie community, I haven't heard of that many authors sort of selling books on there. There are a few already, and it's not just non-fiction like mine. There's fiction as well. So it was a little bit of an experiment, and I've been kind of blown away really as to how quickly it's grown, and that's mostly been organic growth as well. So, I mean, we started just over 3 months ago, and I think when I was on the previous podcast just before Christmas, I'd sold 150 or so hardback books, and I think we're now racing up towards selling 1,000, and that's on a curve that's going up. So
Still going up even in February, mid-February.
yeah, and at the moment that's only based on for me the books that sell the best are the decade birthdays that reflect 80th or 60th or 70th, whatever. And I still don't have my full series out. I've got this 1976 book coming out next week, so that's another book to be added to the Etsy store. And then I'm also doing one for 1986, so I'll have 5 kind of the big sellers. And at the moment I've only got 3, yet the growth is still charting upwards, pretty much organically. I do run a small Facebook ad to the 80-year-old book, but looking at, and the good thing with the Etsy platform is it does give you some pretty good and easy to digest statistics about where the sales have come from, and the majority are coming from the platform itself. I mean,
So is the focus here on how you write your description, the sort of keywords you're using, so people go onto Etsy presumably to find a gift or to solve a problem?
yes. I mean, I think there's I sort of had I mean, it's not a big realization, but I think one thing about, I mean, effectively it's selling direct and going direct. And I think the big mindset shift when going direct is that you are actually now a retailer. You are selling stuff. So when we're starting out on our indie author journey, we've kind of got those 3 pillars of the sort of the creative part of our business, the writing of the books, the marketing, the promotion, whether that's on social media or ads or whatever we do, and the business processes behind the scenes to make the whole business work. But when you go direct, you're then adding this 4th pillar where you are a retailer. And I think the good analogy for using gifting platforms like Etsy, and there are others, is that it's effectively like setting up your shop inside a shopping center or a mall. You've kind of got, it's a quite a low friction way of setting up and testing out and and accessing this market without necessarily having to go the whole hog and setting up your own store, your own shop on the high street, as it were. This sort of idea that you're in a mall, you're in a shopping centre where there's already thousands of people going to shop, and that's what's happening on Etsy. They've got millions of customers coming onto the platform to buy gifts, so they're quite high value leads because they're people who are going on there to spend money. So the tools they give you to tailor your shop and using keywords, it's quite similar in a way, quite similar to Amazon, but a bit more powerful. Is a good way to train their algorithm to push customers in your direction. And as I said at the start, most of the sales that I've had so far have just come through people who are already on Etsy looking. And as I guess it probably comes back down as similar to Amazon. If your conversion is good, once people come onto your store and then they buy something, Etsy's algorithm notices that and pushes more people. So I think that's what's going on. So it sits sort of somewhere in between Amazon at one end, your own direct store, which you have to do everything on the other end, including driving customers to your store. Etsy and in the UK, there's another platform not on the high street. That's somewhere in the middle where you've got already millions of hungry customers coming onto their site. You've just got to try and wave at them and try and get them into your store.
Robin, do you mind if I ask a question about you mentioned setting up a shop, and I just recently launched a limited edition kind of merch collection and changed providers. So moved from from Printful to Printify. And I noticed that they had an Etsy integration. So when I heard you were coming on here, I thought, well, that was interesting because Etsy wasn't something I would have ever considered about a week ago. And then James mentioned you were coming on. Is that something you integrate into your own online shop, or are you doing this directly from Etsy? So what is your kind of setup, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so you raise a good point. Etsy do have a lot of integrations these days. So certainly, as we started off with just books, but we're now expanding into some sort of adjacent merchandise as well. The other thing that we're also doing is that we are offering a gift wrap service as well, which probably is accounting for about 1 in 10 sales. People are choosing to have us gift wrap. I'll show you on the camera here, but that's When
you say us, do you mean Kate, your partner?
Yes, it's become a family business. A small family business, and so we've. Kate is an expert rapper. I'm just useless. So that's not my wheelhouse. But with the control that you have on your Etsy store, you're in control both of the sort of maybe the freebies that you can throw in for people who are placing a standard order, or in addition, you can have upgrades, and a gift wrap is clearly one that you can do. In terms of, Sissy, to answer your point about stock, so what we've done is we're still growing into the merchandise space. So principally, it's the books that you see behind me that are going out, and we, after a month or two of selling, we felt confident enough to put in a large print order. So rather than it being print on demand, we had. It was a couple of weeks back now, we had a delivery of, I think it was 1.5 tons worth of books to my house.
And that's, you used short run press for that?
Yes, we used short run down on the south coast for that. And that's been great because it gives us a much better unit price than simple print on demand. But we were also, as the business was scaling up, we were finding it quite difficult to manage short print runs to keep And we learnt the hard way by running out of stock quite frequently in the first couple of months. But now, on the basis of trying it out and I think this is the really good thing, an important thing to try and get across, is that if you're not sure about something like Etsy, is that there's very low friction to actually giving it a go. There's no high cost to get going. You're in control of what you're showing and what you're selling, and based on that, based on your feedback, if you feel that you then have the either the cash flow or the orders coming through, then you can start to scale up. So you can sort of walk up the stairs and build up your business in a sustainable way. It's not like taking a big, huge jumping off a cliff decision. You can set this up really easily and simply and give it a go, and learn and fiddle about with it. I mean, a lot about this becoming a direct seller and having effectively a retail arm to your publishing business is that you've got to really focus on your processes behind the scenes to try and make the actual fulfillment part as frictionless as possible. Because what we're trying to do with our business is to grow it in a sort of sustainable way so that we're not suddenly swamped with orders. So we want to try and build it organically and get it to the point where it kind of meets our financial objectives, but it's a sustainable long-term investment. And that's, I think, particularly because of the type of books that we sell, because people have birthdays all year round, that's advantageous, so that there's always a sort of a steady demand of orders coming through. So
how long do you have to fulfill? Right, TikTok's quite strict, isn't it? And they'll shove you off the platform if you're slow. But
yes,
Etsy, do you get a few days?
Yes, you do. Now you are in control. So you set your sort of processing times, and those processing times are used by Etsy to then show to the customer the sort of estimated delivery date. So it's not as tightly controlled as say Amazon, where you know if you're going to get it next day, it's coming next day. There will be a window you expect so the customer will order it and they'll expect delivery between sort of 2 or 3 day window. Now you can either set that to be, if you've got, like I have behind me, books in stock we can get out the door within 1 to 2 days, or if, as we had when we ran out of stock, we can set the processing time to a week to allow for new books to be printed. So you're in control of that, and you can update it and change it instantly through the app, which is very handy. And we've done that. So I've been out and about and realized that we're running out of stock, and so we need to quickly change the processing time.
Right.
But you do need to, one caveat is that you really do need to then meet those processing times. I mean, it's fair enough. Etsy is trying to keep the platform as as honest as possible, so that their small sellers are all people can go on there and buy in confidence. So you are monitored on those kind of metrics. You're monitored on how quickly you also respond to customers when they message you. And I should say, actually, that's one of the things that's been really interesting is that when you become a retailer, you're going to hit problems, especially with delivery. There's going to be instances where customers haven't received a book, or the courier company has lost it, or whatever. And we've had quite a few of those. But what's been most surprising is that you can actually turn those disgruntled customers into superfans. And we've now almost gamified this, that we try and do this to every single one. So in my instance, people are buying books for a specific date to give it as a gift on a birthday. And if that book is not turning up, and if they message us to say, oh, the courier's delivered or whatever, we just straight without hesitation send out another book straight away on a priority delivery. And people are so thankful.
Yeah, of course.
You can see it actually if you go onto onto our shop on Etsy, you'll see in a number of the reviews, it's that service above and beyond is it's really turned these people into superfans. And I think that I've already noticed you get a notification when customers are repeat buyers, so it's very easy and obvious to see. And there's been a number of those who initially had a problem, but we turned it around and made
That's
it
great.
into
That's good old-fashioned business sense, isn't it?
yeah. I think that's again, this is another real positive element with Etsy is that we talk, in this world of ever increasing AI, we know it's so important to be human, and we can be human in our marketing, of course, on social media, but there's another superpower, and that's being human on your customer service, the retail element, and that is really powerful. As powerful as the being human on social media. So although it is a long-term commit, if you are thinking of going direct, it is a long-term commitment. Think of it as a long haul, a bit of a marathon. But the upsides to it are really good.
Presumably, if you go on holiday for 2 weeks, you can shut the shop, or do you just say it's going to be a month delivery or something?
You can. They have a mode, so they have a holiday mode. So I think quite a lot of sellers, they will maybe have somebody come and run their store for them. It obviously it's dependent on your circumstances, but there is the option to close the store down for a couple of weeks. And again, that's not going to hit any of your stats on your customer service or anything like that. So yeah.
Let me ask a couple of questions about the aspects of it, sort of technical aspects of it, and the economics. So first of all, in terms of restocking, so you're now using a small run press, which is a bit like, it's a big printers in the UK, like CPI or some, probably not as big as them, but they really focus on indies. Actually, funny enough, I did bump into somebody from CPI at a book event in London last week, and her name's Katie, but she seemed to be heading a department within CPI, which is one of the big printers in the UK, dedicated to indies, which is a really good sign that they're picking up on the fact that people like you, Robin, are selling direct and looking to buy cheaper than you can buy your Amazon copies, your author copies. What's the turnaround? What's the lead time for that? So if you have a sudden run on the books sitting behind you and you get a bit panicky, how long is it going to be before that pallet arrives?
So realistically, it's 3 to 4 weeks.
That's quite a long time.
So I think there's kind of layers. So we've got the big print run we've done is 3 to 4 weeks, but that's probably going to last us about 6 months, something like that. So on Etsy, you can set your stock quantity, and when customers buy, that ticks down. So you've got a good, very easy kind of stock control system where you can see, well, we've got 350 copies left, and we know we're selling them at 20 a day or whatever. So that's going to last X many days. Equally, for us, when we come to the end of the year, because our books are very specific, they sell well in a given year if it's a decade birthday. So my books for this year, when they move into next year, those particular titles the sales have dropped down. So I don't need to hold so much stock. So what I'll be also using Book Vault over here to fill in the gaps, and some of my older titles. So from the previous books, I've also got in stock here, but I'll only be holding 5 or 10 copies of those. And then I'll be printing those as we go, as we need them. And another service that we're just launching now, and this was based on a customer request, is that we're personalizing the front covers of the books so that it can have the birthday recipient's name on the cover and their actual date of birth. So it looks almost standard, but it's got their name on there as well.
And can you put one of their pictures in?
Yes. So one of the pictures, on the top of the book, this space here will be reserved for the name of the birthday recipient. Now, those we only ever going to need either 1 or 2 copies of. So again, they are going to be printed on demand by BookVault, and but you can set those up as having a 2 or 3 week lead time to produce, as opposed.
And then on thank you. And then on the economics of it, so how much are you selling these books, and how much is that entire process of printing, packaging, without factoring your time? How much is that costing? What's your profit margin, basically?
Well, so we've settled on a price for the at the moment we're only selling hardback books on Etsy. We're still selling paperback books on print on demand through Amazon, and the hardbacks on Etsy are at £17.99 plus £1.99 postage, and so that's for the mainland UK. And that £1.99, you're in complete control about what you charge for postage. Some people do free shipping, some people charge what it actually costs them. We're kind of somewhere in the middle, so we are slightly subsidizing the postage, but the cost to print the book works out something around just under £4 a copy now for the hardback in volume. Etsy themselves, they take 2 cuts. They take a 6% and a 4% cut, so it's a lot lower than Amazon. It works out to be roughly 11 to 12% of the selling price goes to. So they obviously take a cut for the payment processing, but they also take a cut for just being, letting you have your shop there. We've worked hard on making sure that we've got good packaging to send the books in. So we actually use a company called Kite Packaging in the UK. They're very good, and they provide book mailing. So we've got the cost of that down. So we make about £8 to £9 per book in terms of profit to the business on a standard sale.
That's good.
But then you can, as we're starting to really expand the personalized version of the book, that's going to be double the price. So it's going to be £35 for a personalized one-off hardback. So there's good margin in that. And there's also the gift wrap upgrade as well, which we charge an extra £4 for. And in reality, the materials for that cost just under £1 to be able to do that. So there's lots of ways, and again, it comes back to kind of almost the retail business principles of looking at of your costs and seeing where you can keep your costs down, but equally still deliver a high quality product. And it's a learning process. You keep fiddling and altering as you go.
And I know you had a good year last year, so I should say Robin is my golfing partner, and we play golf together, and my running advisor. I need to talk to you about that. But you had a good year last year. If this rate you're at now, let's say January repeats itself through this year, is it going to be a bigger year by a lot?
Yes. The sales on Amazon have kind of kept up where they were, and we're now in a position where Etsy, even though we're not selling as many books, because we're making higher profit per sale, it's overtaken our Amazon income in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So we've got this big goal, which is for Kate, my wife, to she's already involved in the business, working for free. That can't last for long. But we're planning that she joins me full time in the business in a few months' time, and that's where we want to try and grow the business to a point where it's a sustainable family business. But my father-in-law also helps me write the book, so there is a real genuine family business element to it. And we, as I said, I'm trying to build it in such a way that it can grow and get to a point where it's not completely consuming our lives, and we have no free time and we can't do anything, but also still generate, a decent business return for us to live the kind of life we want to live. So it's all going in the right direction. And I think moving away from solely relying on Amazon has been a big shift and a really important shift. But I think we are lucky in a way that I've got the chance for my wife to join me in the business, and I know there are a few other people around the country, certainly in the UK, are doing that, as Adam and Ada Basic. Yeah. But it's everyone's got their own different circumstances and their own different goals. But I think one thing that I really am aware of, and because I come from a technology background, my first 10 years of my career was in technology, so I do keep a close eye on sort of developments, especially in AI, because obviously it's affecting everyone's business, but including indies. And I think the mood music seems to be that we've kind of been lulled in a little bit of a false sense of security over the last 12 months that AI is developing kind of slowly and isn't changing that much. But in reality, it seems that over the next sort of 12 to 18 months, there's going to be some major changes. And we can't expect, we shouldn't hold on to the notion that maybe AI can't write books very well. So we have to sort of prepare ourselves for a new potential new shift, a new change. And I think having that human connection, whether that be through marketing or whether it be through retailing, through Etsy or whatever, whichever platform, it really helps protect your business from this turmoil of change that we're all seeing around us. And it's difficult to know how the major platforms like Amazon will change over the coming months, and how competition may increase that much more. So carving out a niche with super fans who are prepared to pay a bit more than simply a KU, or the earnings from a paperback on Amazon is one way to protect and shield your business from these turbulent times.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really excited for you, Robin. I think it's been brilliant watching your business grow. I think you've worked really hard at it, and I know the books are really high quality, which is the heart of it. A good product that people end up with. So yeah, we're excited. We have to come back on again, maybe towards the end of the year. Yeah,
it'd be great. I'm really honoured actually to be your first guest, Sissy, on
on a brand new podcast. And I noticed you have a 1973 book. I looked that up yesterday, so
yes,
might have to check that out. Yeah, that was very cool. I'm already planning on one for as you were speaking, I thought, the personalized hardback would be perfect for my stepdad. So I'll be looking you up.
Yeah,
for sure.
Drop me a line.
And I'll probably start sending you photographs of the hovercraft and aircraft my dad flew in 1967 that you can include in the 1967 book. So hovercraft, I would really like you to include, because it's such a British invention. It was very big in that period in the 60s.
Yes,
and it's sort of been a bit forgotten. There's a hovercraft museum down on the south coast, but because the Americans and the Russians and other people use hovercraft, we don't. It's sort of forgotten in this country. But
it's a Christopher Cockerell,
Christopher Cockerell, yeah.
And he could have invented it in his shed, didn't he?
He effectively did, yeah. He was. Sometimes these inventors are dedicated to that field, like aerodynamics or whatever. He was an inventor. I think his previous patent was the electric sock. Which he did in his shed, and then he got a Hoover or a vacuum cleaner upside down and turned it into a hovercraft. So
yeah. No, we'll definitely need that for the 67 book. We'll be writing that in the second half of this year. So
yeah. I'll help you with that. Excellent. Well, you need to come play golf so I can tell you how much I'm hating my running at the moment and how it's all going wrong. And I need some
Oh no.
I need some moral support. It's just raining and cold, and I'm getting slower and finding it harder, not the other way around, which it shouldn't be because I've done all the work. But I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But anyway.
I know
Maybe
the
some
pain.
help, James. Running in the nice warm temperatures next week, that might help.
Yes, I'm going to run in Atlanta, in Savannah next week. We're
Oh,
going to
perfect.
Lake
Yeah.
Winter Summit. Yeah, I can't wait for that. Yeah.
I was running a race on Sunday, and it was the worst conditions I've ever run
Yeah.
in. It was atrocious.
But I had to do a 22K run on Sunday as part of my plan by myself locally on the same bits of land over and over again because everywhere else is flooded. So that's also partly why I'm miserable about it.
That's pretty much as tough as it gets. I think that's the thing that people don't see on marathon training is that it's all those kind of lonely runs in the dark or in the cold and that sort of thing. So, yeah. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You've got to keep going.
Anyway, we need to get on the golf course as well. If we can find one that's not underwater.
That's true.
Robin,
Yes,
will I see you in Cambridge this year? In
you will
June?
indeed. Yes,
Yay.
you will. And we will have I think we have a quiz planned as well. So we want to be the quiz master.
Oh boy, are we bringing back the old team, James? Is that the plan?
Yeah. Was it you, me, and Kelly and Annabelle on our
Annabelle.
team? Yeah.
Yep.
I can't remember where we came. I don't think we troubled the scorers, really, did we?
Although, James, you were in the winning team recently was doing a fundraising quiz for my London Marathon place, which I'm doing, and so we had a local quiz with 14 teams, and quite a tough quiz, and James's team won. So
Congratulations!
Yeah.
Look at that.
It was my wife's knowledge of celebrity couples that stood us in good stead right at the end. Thank you. Well, brilliant. Thank you, Robin, so much indeed. Thank you, Sissy. You're like an old hand now, a second episode in.
So fun.
It's been great to have you on, and we'll keep an eye on your progress, Robin. And yeah, I think that's it.
Thanks, Robin. So good to see you.
lovely to see you both.
This is the Self-Publishing Show. There's never been a better time to be a writer.
The Self-Publishing Show is sponsored by Pro Writing Aid. Built by writers for writers. Pro Writing Aid doesn't just check spelling and grammar, it helps you enhance your story's pacing, plot, characters, settings, and more. Now it can provide even on-demand developmental feedback for your entire manuscript with its manuscript analysis and virtual beta reader tools. Give your writing a competitive advantage by heading to prowritingaid.com. Sign up for free and use the code IWC15 for a 15% discount off annual subscriptions.